deans of faculties, the dean of students, the dean of postgraduate studies, the provost of the one and only College of Medical Sciences, principal officers of the university, the vice chancellors in procession. lecture is to be delivered by one of the brightest and best in our university, a legal luminary, a professor of public law and director, distance learning of the university, Professor OSARETIN AIGBOVO. The topic is Stanley meets Mutesa, legal pluralism and the quest for harmony in the Nigerian legal system. The Registrar of the University, Mr. AIGBOVO, is now respectfully invited to introduce the Vice Chancellor and the Vice Chancellor's procession. Mr. Registrar.
Madam Vice Chancellor, eminent scholars, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, kindly allow me to abide by the protocol as already established duly by the university's public relations officer, Dr. Mrs. Stanley. All other courses duly extended. It is my singular honor and duty to present at this assembly the #1 citizen of this campus, the #1 Vice Chancellor in the whole of Nigeria, over 251 universities in Nigeria, the #1 Vice Chancellor. Someone who is known as the Chairman Committee of Vice Chancellor, the Vice President Association of African Universities, Lillian Mutesa Salami. The Vice Chancellor is here today. Fellow from Nigeria, a very academic. The Vice Chancellor Administration is Catherine Power. The Deputy Vice Chancellor Ekenwa is also here in the Vice Chancellor's entourage. He is Professor William Ainde. The officer of this university is very well seated today, just like it was last week. The Chancellor of the Exchequer, as we refer to him, Dr. Victor Imagbe. The librarian is trying to look for other means of preserving the books and publications of this university, and is ably represented here today by Mrs. Patience Ayoma. The provost of our College of Medical Sciences is also into other assignments outside the shores of Edo State for now, and is ably represented here today by the Deputy Provost, Professor Vivian Omwemi. Standing in for the Deanship of Postgraduate School, Professor S.A. Aliu. The #1 students among the Vice Chancellor's entourage, the Dean who handles all the students both at home and abroad, Professor A.C. Modara. The Dean who is the one we have to look at today, because eminently responsible for everything that happens here today, because it's the post-dean, the dean who has joined the train of the Faculty of Law to attract a lot of alumni to develop that faculty. Is the post-dean today, Professor Mutesa. The Dean Faculty of Agriculture, Professor E.R. The Dean Faculty of Arts, Professor S.C. Yuka. The Dean School of Basic Medical Sciences, Professor the Dean of Vice Chancellor's Faculty, the man who can direct everybody in that faculty, first is the Dean, the Executive Dean of that faculty, Professor Kingsley Omorodua. I'm sure he has to be careful that he cannot give that directive to some other person too. I mean, the Vice Chancellor is a member of that faculty. I think we should give that faculty a round of applause. Professor Ogunjo is the Dean Faculty of Engineering. We have the Dean Faculty of Environmental Sciences, whose apparel looks like that of, he's a Russian, don't mind him, when you see somebody from Russia, if you look at that academic terms, it's Russian by every standard. Professor Raphael Egiato Urube, the Dean Faculty of Agriculture. Professor N.J. Urube is the Dean Faculty of Life Sciences. Standing for the Dean School of Medicine, Dr. G.D. Furai. Professor A. Opera is the Dean Faculty of Pharmacy. Standing in for the Dean Faculty of Physical Sciences, Professor N. Ehoswei. Dr. I.L. Banedo is standing in for the Dean Faculty of Social Sciences. Director Center for Entrepreneurship Development, Professor E.E. Ogiadi. Professor Hazan Orakena is the Director Center for Educational Technology. The Director Technical Center for Aquaculture, Professor Mrs. Ishema Obo. Director Center for Sustainable Development Goal, SDG, Professor Mrs. U. Igodu. Director Quality Assurance, Professor Mrs. Unoibu. The Director University Advancement and Development Office, former Orator of the University, Professor Eji Eragi. The Director Center for Maritime and ICT is being represented here today by Dr. E. AIGBOVO. The Director, Institute of Child Health, Professor Mrs. Sado. Acting Director, Institute of Education, Dr. Mrs. I.F. Iyamu. Acting Director, IPAES, located at the Ekewa campus, Dr. Igbo Obato. Acting Director of General Studies is being presented here today by Dr. O.E. Nigerian, was Director, Student Guidance Counseling, Dr. Mrs. O.N. Ahie, leading the Vice Chancellor Central today is the Deputy Registrar in Senate Matters, Mrs. C.I. Indiato. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, today is a very unique day in the life of this university for so many reasons. The director who is the inaugural lecturer today is one of the very distinguished and highly respected persons. But I lack the substance to bring him to the podium. It is therefore my pleasure and honor to invite the acting Vice Chancellor to present the Vice Chancellor's
Greatest Uniben. Can yet be louder. Greatest Uniben. Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Distinguished audience, please permit me to align my protocols so very well established by the PRO group, but not without paying special respect to the former Vice Chancellor of this university, Professor Faraday Oruensi. One served as chief priest in this academic scenario. I also like to fully recognize the retired Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, not Chief Justice S.O. Uwaifo. The PRO will give you the recognitions at the appropriate time, but please, I bring you very warm greetings from the Vice Chancellor who regrets her inability to be here somewhere. So I just proceed to read her address. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to the 291st in the inaugural lecture series of the University of Benin. It is the 64th to be delivered in my tenure as Vice Chancellor of this university, the 7th in the Faculty of Law, and the 3rd from the Department of Public Law. I'm pleased to inform you that the second semester for the 2021-2022 academic session has been concluded. I thank all staff and students for their cooperation, commitment, and sacrifices in ensuring the smooth completion of the session. In our effort to normalize the academic calendar disrupted by COVID-19 and industrial actions by unions in the university ecosystem, the 2022-2023 session will commence fully on 24th September 2023. I enjoin all stakeholders not to relent in their efforts. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce our lecturer for today. He is Professor OSARETIN AIGBOVO. Is Stanley Mutesa, legal pluralism and the quest for harmony in the Nigerian legal system. Professor OSARETIN AIGBOVO was born on 24th November 1964 in Benin City, Edo State, into the family of late Mr. Jacob AIGBOVO of Okogo, Ilore local government area of Edo State, and Mrs. Juliana Amakobe AIGBOVO of the Iyamu family of Ewegai, Ilore local government area of Edo State. He attended first St. Michael's Anglican Primary School from 1970 to 1973, and later St. Joseph Primary School, now our Primary School, Benin City, when he obtained his first living certificate in 1976. He proceeded to Lao Grammar School, formerly known as St. Kizito's Grammar School, in EC, where he obtained his West African School certificate in 1981. He gained admission the same year to the College of Education, Warri, where he obtained the National Certificate in Education. in agricultural science in 1984. He did his mandatory National Youth Service in Gigi Memorial Teachers College, Sokoto, from 1984 to 1985. He gained admission into the University of Benin to study law in 1986 and graduated with LLB honors in 1990. He attended the Nigerian Law School, Victoria Island, Lagos, where he obtained his professional qualification in law and was called in December 1991. He obtained a Master of Law degree in 1998 and PhD in 2016 from the University of Benin. So, like the Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic is a local breed. LLB, Benin. LLM, Benin. PhD, Benin. And this is one local breed that shines brightly everywhere. Thank you very much. He practiced law in the city as Supreme Counsel before he established his law firm in 1993. He joined the services of the University of Benin as an assistant lecturer in the Department of Public Law in 1995 and rose through the ranks to become a professor in 2016. He has held several academic and administrative positions within and outside the university. I'll just name a few. He's been assistant coordinator of LLB evening program back 1997, staff advisor, Law Students Association, the 1997-1998 session, member, University Library and Routine Publications Committee, 1999, faculty representative, University Admissions Board, 1997 to 2000, assistant dean, Faculty of Law, 2002 to 2013, team member, annotator, Nigerian School of Advanced Legal Studies, annotated law program, 2002. He was chairman, Parents Teachers Association, Federal Government Girls College, Benin City, 2012 to 2016. Acting Head, Department of Public Law, 2015-2016, Chairman, Senior Staff Disciplinary Committee, 2017-2018, Dean of Students, 2018-2020. He was manager at Games Village National Sports Festival in 2020. Currently, is the director of the University of Benin Center for Distance Learning and began holding that position early this year. AIGBOVO belongs to several professional associations, some of which are member Nigerian Bar Association, member Nigerian Association of Law Teachers, member Nigerian Society of International Law, branch executive member Nigerian Red Cross Society, from 2000 to 2011. Professor AIGBOVO has served as external examiner and professorial rank assessor to many universities within and outside Nigeria. I thought that should have received some applause. He has also served in several investigative committees. He is the general editor of the Benin Journal on Public Law. He has over 42 publications in local, national, and international law, and has contributed chapters to books in the Nigerian legal system. He has attended 14, not less than 14 local and international conferences, and he delivered papers in most of them. He has successfully supervised 4 PhD candidates and several master's degrees. AIGBOVO has passion for reading and current affairs. He is a Christian and a Knight of St. Christopher, Diocese of Benin, Church of Nigeria, Anglican Community. He is the legal advisor to the diocese, holding that post since 2009. He is happily married to his heartthrob, Mrs. Charity of Mwebe, AIGBOVO. An educationist, and their marriage is blessed with 4 children. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to, on behalf of Madam Vice Chancellor, invite Professor OSARETIN AIGBOVO, a Professor of Public Law, to deliver this.
the memory of my father, Mr. Jacob AIGBOVO, of blessed memory, and to my mother, Mrs. Juliana AIGBOVO. Thank you for all you've done for me. I thank you, Vice Chancellor, for giving me the opportunity to deliver this inaugural lecture today. I was promoted to the position of professor in the year 2016, and my application to deliver my inaugural lecture at the pending is April 2018. Before going into the substance of the lecture, please permit me to give a brief history of my life so far. I am the son of a school teacher. My father was a headmaster, and I lived my colleague here inside the school compound in the village. In my primary 1 class, I could see my mother cooking in the kitchen behind the headmaster's house. And when it's time to eat, they will come and call me. I will wipe my slate and go back and start writing. So right from my tender years, I have been immersed in the world of books because my father brought me up in a very strict atmosphere of reading. There was no time for football or things like that. Because at that time, we didn't have people like Messi or whatever. So it was in that atmosphere that I grew up in a strict environment that was regulated by my teacher father. Every rule was set out by him. He planned my life up to crossing the T's and dotting the I's. He was a teacher, and in his book, the best profession in life was teaching. So he planned my life along that line. So immediately I finished secondary school, even before we considered taking jump form or anything, he sent me to College of Education, Mori, because then, when you have NCE, the job was guaranteed for you under Professionalist Free Education Program. He planned my life. He said after that, he would send me to university in the UK. I will spend 2 years. I will come back and become a principal. Since and the Buhari coup put paid to that because the exchange controllers came and foreign exchange became scarce. And as a teacher, their salary was not paid towards the tail end of 1983. So that thing of sending me to the UK was cancelled. So after my service in 1985, yes, NCEs are then were the last set of NCE graduates to serve. In 1985, there was no job for me. My initial plan was to become a lawyer, but my mother here said no. She was vehemently opposed. She said lawyers die young. I said so, I was not going to be a lawyer. I said okay, and my father wanted me to be a teacher. So I buried my dream for a while. But when I came back and there was no job, I told her, hey, I have to go and read law. She now said, okay, my son, may the Lord be with you. You shall come to no harm. Go and read law. Since there's no job for teaching now. My father had no choice too. So I went back and took JAMB form, wrote JAMB after youth service and came back to year 1 in the Faculty of Law to read law. I graduated, started practicing in Benin, but after a while, I became bored. And I came back for my master's. As it turned out, during my master's degree, I had a destiny helper in the person of Professor Ameze Kobadia, who was the acting dean of law, and my lecturer in comparative company law. One day she called me to an office and said, look, I want to see your application right now. I said, for what? He said, for lecturer. I said, madam, I don't want to teach. He said, there are people teaching here, they are practicing. I said, madam, when I was hesitating, she said, it's an order. Tomorrow I want to see your application letter. And the rest is history. So may the Lord bless her. She was here today, but unfortunately she was bereaved. So having gone through those preliminaries, let me go to the substance of this lecture. This inaugural lecture is titled Stanley meets Mutesa, Legal Pluralism and the Quest for Harmony in the Nigerian Legal System. It discusses the impact of legal pluralism on the Nigerian legal system and my research contributions to the effort to clarify the rules which are designed to establish harmony in the legal system. As every student knows, the legal system is a every student, and it's a year 2 course. In my time, I found it got very unpalatable because we used to call it a dry course. Because we used to talk about cases 1900, 1800, then we regarded those cases as dead. And the article we were told to read were A.N. Abbott, 1946, 1955, and I was not friendly to the cause at all. But when I started teaching, the first course I was given was legal system. I said, why? I don't sat back and said, why did I not like the course? I didn't like the course because the cases were old. It was uninteresting. So I just sat back and collected modern materials, like illustrated the principles in legal system, modern cases and modern materials, with which I started teaching to augment the old cases that we had before. So in about 5 years from the time I started teaching in 2000, and in the year 2000, I came out with a book, Introduction to Nigerian Legal System, which successive law students have been using both in the University of Benin and other universities. So my advice actually against this background, I believe it is rather proper that course which I have taught continuously since 1995 up to date, as I also taught other courses, is the subject area in which I should deliver my inaugural lecture. So in this lecture, I will explore the impact of legal pluralism on the Nigerian legal system. The lecture is divided into 8 parts. In part 2, immediately after this introductory part, I will clarify some terms and concepts that are relevant to the lecture. The third part is a brief discussion of the Nigerian legal system, while the fourth part discusses the inter-conflict rules or the rules for harmony. The fifth part of the lecture discusses some theories which explain the impact of legal pluralism on the Nigerian legal system, while part 6 discusses my contributions in the quest for harmony. With recommendations. Now I will start with conceptual clarification. Law is usually a controversial area, but I'm not going into that now. So I will just take the value neutral definition. Law is a set of enforceable rules for the regulation of human conduct. And I've definitely chosen this definition out of the million of definitions because it is value neutral. It contains the only 2 articles which every school of the students agree on, namely the obligatory nature of law and the general purpose. When it comes to source, essence, morality, or whatever, we are not going to go into that now because there are very many schools of jurisprudence. For legal pluralism, as usual, anything academic, there's always a debate. We are not also going into that. We are going to adopt a very simple definition for legal pluralism. And it is that of Woodman, 1996, who says that legal pluralism describes the situation in which a person is subject to more than one body of laws. And then Stanley and Mutesa. Since my invitation cards started coming out, I have been stopped by perfect strangers in campus, and I was asked, who is Stanley and who is Mutesa? So I said, come to the lecture and find out. I have been tutored by an academic giant on whose shoulder I've sat all over these years. And he has always said that you have to have a catchy topic, a catchy title for a inaugural lecture if you want people to attend. I told this when I went to Ghana some years ago for a conference. I went to the University of Cape Coast. On my way, I went to Legon. I went to their bookshop. And as I was browsing through their inaugural lecture series, they were selling to, they sell to foreigners for hard currency. So I could really afford one. So when I looked at all of them, the only one I bought was because of this catchy title. And so what he told me, made sense then. And also, his inaugural lecture in this campus is still remembered up to today. Uniben is known for very vibrant and good inaugural lectures, but it's also stood out by a lot of miles. And we all know what I'm talking about. He's a criminal in all of us. Professor in Biography, whose course have we not taken? So sitting on the shoulder of such a giant, I have to think up a topic that will lure people to come and attend today, that will make people to come and find out. And when I discussed it with him, he said, yeah, right with that topic. And I'm happy that it has raised a lot of curiosity. People want to know who is Stanley, who is Mutesa. Stanley and Mutesa are metaphors. Stanley is a metaphor for the legal system of the colonial masters who came to dominate us. Why Mutesa? King Mutesa one of the first of Uganda, in the present day Uganda, is a metaphor for the legal system of African countries, including Nigeria. When the white men came, some came with the Bible, they said they are missionaries. Some came with force, like the one that came to Benin with force of arms. But however they came, their aim was colonialism. They wanted to colonize us. In the case of Stanley and Mutesa, when Stanley went to the Uganda kingdom, after the innocent king welcomed him, they imposed a protectorate on Uganda. And this story is captured in the creative work of David Robadiri, the poet. And that poem I still remember from my literature days, Stanley meets Mutesa. So I chose that poem because it reflects the theme, two themes which are prevalent in legal pluralism. The first is the metaphor of the colonial legal system and the African legal systems, and then the paradox. The paradox that runs through that poem also runs through our legal system. Because legal pluralism has brought another culture to us which we bemoan every day. That the Englishmen brought their own custom, they brought their own legal system to oppress us and to wipe away our own legal system. But we cannot seem to have even enough of that English law. Can we now do away with our English way of life, our Western education, our Western culture, our Western religion, Christianity, which we went brought? We cannot do away with that then. We have to learn to live with those laws that the British brought that changed our lives, and we also have to live with those customs that we cannot do without. I'm happy to acknowledge the presence of Justice Samson Odenigbo Wifo. You are welcome, sir. Justice Wifo wrote many judgments, as we shall see later, in which we saw a legal pluralism, this tension between a customary law, our culture, and the received English law. We saw the tension in many cases in which Justice Wifo wrote the legal judgment. So the pervading atmosphere of paradox in Stanley meets Mutesa, as we shall see, is also a feature of legal pluralism in Africa. So my overall purpose, therefore, in appropriating the title of Obadeli's famous poem, is to use the widely recognized catchphrase to simplify the substance of this inaugural lecture. So we shall move on to the conflict rules, which I named the rules for harmony, because the plurality of laws which are recognized in the legal system has necessitated the design of certain rules to bring some harmony to the system. If there are no conflict rules, then there will be confusion. These rules exist for the resolution of conflicts in the following areas: choice of applicable law and the validity of customary law. In the area of choice of law, there are conflict rules that regulate cases between natives. There are conflict rules that also regulate cases between natives and non-natives. And there are conflict rules that regulate conflict between different customary laws. We do not have time to go into all those in the inaugural lecture booklet. Then for the validity test, we have the recognizance test, the incompatibility test, and the public policy test. These tests are tools used by the court to strike the balance between the primordial imperative implicit in some customary law rules and the expectations of modern society, whose worldview and attitude have been modified through exposure to modern education, culture, different religions, and the general law. This test therefore brings some light into our legal system. We are not going to look at the impact of legal pluralism on the Nigerian legal system, and I'm going to use 4 here to explain the and that is Professor Eke's theory of the two publics. Professor Eke was a famous historian, political scientist in the University of Ibadan. In 1975, he wrote a very important article that up to now is still very relevant. He argued that the experience of colonialism in Africa has resulted in the existence of what he called two publics, instead of a single public. These he named the primordial public and the civil public. According to him, individuals operate, every individual operates in 2 realms: their private realm and their public realm. Their private realm contains their activities, their household activities, their religious activities, and what have you. And that one is strictly for their private life. Why there are public activities which impact on the collective interest of the community, like political, governmental, civic, and social activities belong to the public realm. The argument of a case is that in Western society, there is a convergence of private and public realms to the extent that the private realm and the public realm now have a common moral foundation. That is what is wrong in your private realm, is wrong in your public realm, and vice versa. But in Africa, we have two publics. Instead of having one public, we have one public that covers some of our activities that has to do with our tribal, ethnic, and what have you. And we also have our public realm, that part of our public realm that has to do with the governmental activities, civic activities, and politics. Now, Professor Ake's theory describes political behavior in Africa, but it also explains the attitude of people in Africa to receive English law, local legislation, and judicial process. That is the legal system, which is based on Western precepts and administered by the civil or public service of the civil public. The people show more fidelity to their native laws of custom or Islamic law, irrespective of the laws derived from the civil public. Even when the civil public expressly or impliedly prescribe native law and custom through legislation or judicial pronouncement, the people most stubbornly persist in observing their customs. They display more integrity in matters which concern their primordial ties and sentiments than when doing the business of the state. I've explained the relationship between the case theory of the two publics and the anti-corruption initiatives in Nigeria is the absence of the willpower on the part of political authorities to enforce anti-corruption laws to the logical conclusion. Now, the argument is that if governors, legislators, everybody go to a Ayelala shrine to take oath to manage public funds with all honesty, then we are going to have better governance, isn't it? From sociology, and this is the theory of social change. Social change is the alteration of the social order or social structure of the society, which may include changes in cultural values, rules of behavior, and social institutions. And it may result from, among other ways, colonialism. Colonialism, which subjected culture, custom, laws and traditional institutions of the indigenous people to those of colonial powers and force people with different cultures and traditional customs to coexist side by side under the same general legal system. Therefore, the resulting conflict between the laws and institutions of the colonial authorities and the customary law leads to a modification of both general law and the customary law and corresponding social change within the society. Now, this is exemplified in the breakdown of boundaries in the area of marriage laws. We are fond of doing two types of marriage, what we call double-decker marriage. On Friday, we go and pay the bride price. And then on Saturday, we go to the registry of the church to do a marriage under the act. One of the former inaugural lecturers here, Professor Owen, raised a question today delivered in the inaugural lecture. Why is it so? Prof, I'm going to answer the question now. The reason for that is found in the school of thought from sociology. There's a breakdown of boundaries between two bodies of laws because of the pluralism. We are forced to exist under these two laws. So we tend to want to take the advantage of both for our own benefit. What is the advantage of marriage under customary law? If you are not paid bride price, are you married under a custom? You are not married. So we want to have that validation from our pre-modern public. Then you want the benefit of marriage under the act because it gives you a certificate which you can take to the embassy to prove that you are married. Because when you are married under customary law, you don't have a piece of paper to prove it. Marriage, customary law is a question of fact, and you cannot bring all your family members to follow to the embassy to say that yes, they pay bride price to me. So you need a document to prove that you are married. So that is why, and for women, women want to secure their position, and they drag you to sorry, I didn't want drag. They take you to the registry. So the other scholar has argued that this theory explains this breakdown in our social behavior. A third theory that I will use to explain the effect of legal pluralism on our legal system is the historical law school. Every law student is familiar with the school of jurisprudence, and it was propounded by Von Sabine, who argued that to understand the present position of the nation and the laws and where they are headed, one must have a good understanding of their history, because the future is inexorably linked to it. In other words, any law, any rule of law that does not take into consideration the history of the people will not command any respect. They will find a way to cut corners around you, as we shall see later. I argue that the spirit of the people is exemplified by the attitude of the Supreme Court in a judgment by Justice Wifo, who is seated here today. In the application of the non-discrimination clause in Section 42 of the Constitution, while willing to apply the section to strike down some discriminating customary law rules, the Supreme Court is careful not to allow it to use the words of Justice Wifo, stir up a honest text, quote unquote, to thereby condemn some, his words again, fundamental customs and traditions. And which are these fundamental customs and traditions? These are customs like the primogeniture rule, where the elderly child will inherit properties or inherit titles of the people. So when the Supreme Court or any court is applying Section 42 of the Constitution, they are very careful not to stretch it, because that section, if you stretch it to the logical conclusion, every discriminatory law should be struck down. If you say that a man has 10 children, only the first one will inherit his title and inherit all the properties, as is the case in Case and Land, or as is the case in a hereditary title holder in Benin. Is that law not discriminatory? Or the Supreme Court says they are very careful, they face another law because they want to protect it. And we saw that in the case of Mojeku and Ibuchukwu in 1997, the case decided in 1997, and which I discussed in 2016. Let's look at another theory which can be used to explain the effect of legal pluralism. And that is similar to the historical school, that is the sociological school. That school is substitute custom for norms. This school argues that a law must comply with the norms of the people, otherwise it will not be worthy of opinion. The people will ignore the law. It will be a dead letter law. If the law does not accord with their expectations, their social expectations. We have a plethora of examples, but I will just cite one. An example of such a law can be found in Section 21 of the Central Bank Act, which makes it an offense to hawk, sell, or otherwise trade in naira notes, coins, or any other note issued by the central bank, or to abuse or deface the naira by spraying, quote, I'm quoting the law, spraying. Do you know that was an offense? Spraying of dancing or marching on the naira or any note issued by the bank during social occasions or otherwise. Have you seen anybody arrested for that offense? No. Even during Buhari's marriage, they were marching naira and dollar on the ground. This is a perfect example of the failure of a law because it fails to meet with people's social expectations, with people's norms, the norms they expect from their social interactions. Now, the central bank, just to feel all righteousness, have been issuing press releases. The last one they issued was until they got tired. Because latest 2nd February 2003. To remind people that it's an offense, so don't spray naira. But nobody listens. Even themselves, they do not listen. And advice from we now look at the quest for harmony in the Nigerian legal system. We have made our little contributions to finding harmony in the Nigerian legal system. Because the challenges which arise from legal pluralism are caused by the dualism arising from the recognition of customary law by the state. And sometimes because we want to make use, we want to benefit from both systems, conflicts will arise. We are so greedy that when we want to take both, sometimes we take the competing groups. My research has contributed to filling the knowledge gap attendant to this social-legal milieu. The main body of my research work has been focused on identifying, analyzing, and clarifying areas of conflict and harmony in the Nigerian legal system, and profiling actionable recommendations for the guidance of policymakers, legislators, and other stakeholders in the legal system. This quest has led me to contribute to the body of knowledge in the following areas. In the area of internal conflict rules, in AIGBOVO 1997-2000, I discussed two major gaps in internal conflict rules and provide recommendations for the reform of the rules. I recommended the harmonization of the conflict rules in all jurisdictions so that no Nigerian Africans can be subject to customary law if they choose to enter into a transaction under the law. It was further recommended that there should be legislation to allow both natives and non-natives to choose their personal laws if they do not want the law of their ethnic group or country of birth to govern their affairs at death. In the area of inheritance and succession rules, I have also made my contribution when I'm Vice Chancellor. I have also directed my research effort at clarifying some inheritance rules under customary law. The social change caused by legal pluralism has manifested more rapidly in marriage practices and in the area of inheritance rules. Most customary law rules are inherently discriminatory against women, female children, and younger children in favor of the elderly child and male children generally. This is as a result of the system of primogeniture practiced by most of the ethnic groups in Nigeria. What is the nature of these rules? How has the legal system responded to these rules? These are the questions I addressed in a number of my research works. In AIGBOVO 2005A, I undertook a comprehensive analysis of the concept of AIGBOVO under the customary law, a concept which is based wholly on this principle of primogeniture, which has been upheld as not important to natural justice, equity, and good conscience by the Supreme Court. When I'm Vice Chancellor, still on the subject of inheritance under the customary law, I have further clarified the difference between the inheritance rules applicable to the estate of hereditary title holders on one hand and applicable to non-hereditary title holders and commoners on the other hand, in a critique of the Supreme Court decision in the case of Lawarosula and Lawarosula, the citation is provided in AIGBOVO 2015. On the first issue of discriminatory inheritance rules of customary law, my research has also engendered more clarity and harmony in the plural legal environment of the Nigerian legal system. My research contributions have identified the trends, the ebb and fall in the judicial and legislative responses to these discriminatory customary laws. In one of my earliest interventions in this area, AIGBOVO 2003B, I examined the following questions. Are customary laws discriminate against females in accordance with the state law of Nigeria? If not, are the courts enforcing the law to prevent discrimination against female persons? And if in the affirmative, to what extent? The specific custom, which was issued in cases analyzed in the newspaper, is the Igbo custom of the Oliepe or the Oliepe, under which custom the female children of a man who died without a male child are disentitled to inherit his estate. Instead, his estate is inherited by the Oliepe or the nearest male relative. The cases are Nigerian and Acknowledgements, Mutesa and Mogo, Nizeku and Nizeku, and Nojeku and Nojeku, then Keji and Keji. The citations are provided. In this case, the Supreme Court refused to enforce the Oliepe custom, but for different reasons in each case. The cases show that the custom affects females in two ways. Firstly, the treatment of a widow who had no male child, and secondly, the treatment of female children. The two Supreme Court cases of Nigeria and Mutesa established that the aspect of the custom which entitles the family of the deceased husband to alienate his property while the widow is still in possession is repugnant to equity and good conscience. In the two cases of Nojeku and Keji, the Court of Appeal struck down the aspect of the custom which disentitles female children from inheriting the estate of their father. However, in doing so, it went further than the Supreme Court did in the earlier cases by relying on grounds of repugnancy for the first time in Nigeria and incompatibility with the Constitution. Now, let's look at the Supreme Court policy in adjudicating customary law disputes. In my quest for a pattern or common thread in the attitude of the courts in customary law cases, I undertook a study of the Supreme Court policy in customary law cases in AIGBOVO 2006. In order to verify the court policy towards discriminating customary practices, I reviewed the decision again in the case of Nojeku and that was the case of Nojeku and Nojeku in the Court of Appeal. I also reviewed the court's attitude to other customary law cases, especially cases of customary arbitration. The Supreme Court upheld the Court of Appeal's decision, which refused to enforce the Oliepe custom in Nojeku case, not on the far-reaching grounds of repugnancy and incompatibility with the Constitution relied upon by the Court of Appeal, but on the ground of incompatibility with the unusual law of the less items, which does not discriminate against females in inheritance matters. I argue that this decision reduced the impact of both cases in the Court of Appeal, and I've summarized my findings there in the inaugural lecture handbook of my findings of the attitude of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court does a balancing act. They are careful, like I said before, not to overstretch Section 42 to affect what Justice Nwaifu called fundamental customs. Those customs are so fundamental that Section 42 cannot affect them. The implication of this finding is the conclusion that in the period under review, the Court of Appeal was more judicially active than the Supreme Court in using the provisions of the Constitution to enforce social change in the behavior of some individuals towards customary law rules which discriminate against female persons. This was the theme of my intervention also in AIGBOVO and Ewere. We also looked at this theme in AIGBOVO and Ewere 2015B, in AIGBOVO 2001, AIGBOVO 2008, AIGBOVO 2011, and AIGBOVO 2005B. In AIGBOVO and Ewere 2015C, we reviewed the Supreme Court cases of the page today at court and equate at the Supreme Court. In those cases, the Supreme Court, although it did not say so in so many words, clearly adopted the theory of social change in the judgment, which marked a seismic change in its conservative policy towards customary inheritance rules, which discriminate against female persons and others. For the first time, the Supreme Court struck down the Oliepe custom of the Nnewi and Awka people, and by implication, similar customs which discriminate against female persons, on the grounds of repugnancy to natural justice, equity and good conscience, and incompatibility. For the first time, the Supreme Court held that that custom was incompatible with Section 42, Sub 1 and 2 of the Constitution. So the stress that the Pluralism policy will need to accommodate this custom. In the area of customary land tenure, when I Vice Chancellor, the principal act which governs the land tenure in Nigeria is the Land Use Act. And the Land Use Act is now part of the Constitution by virtue of Section 315(5)D of the Constitution. Now, the first problematic area with the Land Use Act was subjection of all land to the overlordship of the government and the local government authorities. And these are the institutions introduced by authorities of the civil public in an area previously by the primordial public for centuries, so there are bound to be problems. The second problematic area was the use of the definition of occupier and holder in section 34, 36, and 50 of the Land Use Act. Later, Professor Omotola, the former Vice Chancellor of UNILAG, one of the leading early scholars on the Land Use Act, exemplifies the uncertainty of scholars and jurists of that period about the impact of the Land Use Act. They were not sure of the impact the Land Use Act will have on customary land tenure. So the purpose of my research in this area, therefore, has been threefold. First, my research sought to clarify the effect of the legal regime introduced by the Land Use Act and customary land tenure system generally. Secondly, it sought to clarify the rules of the new customary land tenure system. And thirdly, it sought to bring harmony into the confusing situation in the new customary land tenure system, which ensued after the introduction of the Land Use Act. Therefore, in AIGBOVO and AIGBOVO, in AIGBOVO 1996 to 1999, I analyzed the principles governing acquisition of title to land under the customary law, beginning from the time when the plot allocation was in the hands of a being called Biography, to the emergence of the plot allotment committees in the middle part of the 20th century. The subject of my subsequent contribution in this topic in AIGBOVO 2015D was how customary land tenure was disentangled from the grip of the Land Use Act by a line of cases which gradually fleshed out the principle that the Act did not abolish customary land tenure system. This rehabilitation of customary land tenure system started with the case of Ogunle and Imi in 1990, where the Supreme Court held that the Land Use Act did not abolish all existing title and rights to possession of land under customary law. So what I'm saying is that in Benin, there was no need to have a forging over approval. You know, that was the system here. We would date all of them in 1978. Just before the Land Use Act was abolished, the land got allotment committees were abolished. There was no reason. All we needed to do was to now, the Land Use Act has made the government overlord, no problem. But the customary land tenure system, which the upper approval gives the grant under customary law, was not invalidated by the Land Use Act. So there was no reason to discontinue with the block allotment system in Benin. There was no reason at all. It could have continued. And I think if it had continued, there would have been more organization to the land administration of Benin that have been hijacked by thugs and criminals, with due respect. In the area of modern traditional practices, we also did some work there in the course of which I chronicled the early legislative principles on these practices. In AIGBOVO 2001 and AIGBOVO 2003, I analyzed the provisions of the female circumcision and genital mutilation prohibition law 1999 of the state and the inhuman treatment of widows prohibition law. These laws reflect social change in practice. The society have used laws to criminalize those customs that they do not want anymore, that they do not need. And that has led to social change in the attitude of people. So people no longer circumcise their feelings of their children because of this law. And widow practices where you make the widow to drink the water with which the dead man was dated, they have not been criminalized. And this is evidence of social change. Acknowledgements. Thank you. I give thanks to God Almighty who has made everything possible, and prove to me at every point of my life that as my name declares, it is indeed my strength and comfort. There are used men and women of goodwill to show me favor in the course of my life journey, and has never forsaken me at any point of my life. His name be praised forever. Amen. I'm profoundly grateful to my Vice Chancellor, Professor Mutesa for giving me the opportunity to deliver this inaugural lecture. I also thank my Vice Chancellor for letting me find favor in the site and giving me the opportunity to serve the university in various important offices in the administration. As you have shown me another favor, may God also continue to show you favor and lift you to higher heights you desire to attain. Amen. I thank you for your support while I was Dean of Students and your support and passion for the resources of the Center for Distance Learning, which you have entrusted to me, which will retain as director. I thank the DEPA, Professor Ray Ozoba, always DEPA looking. I thank you, my DVC academics, for your friendship and support. I appreciate the support of the other members of the management team, namely Professor Mrs. Catherine Okowa, the DVC Administration, Professor A.I.GBOVO, the Deputy Vice Chancellor, the Kerwan Campus, Mr. A. Okola, the Registrar, and Dr. Vinu Mende, my brother, my friend, Bosa, and Professor Obasui, the Liberian. I'm immensely grateful to the Indian Past Vice Chancellor, Professor F.F.O. Oruwese. Thank you, sir. In whose tenure I was nominated to the position of professor. Professor Oruwese incidentally was my father's tutor in primary school. My father told me that he is a mathematical wizard. But he used to give him the job to go and teach his mates while he sits down in the teacher's desk. Professor Oruwese brought me from relative anonymity in the Faculty of Law to the Central University Administration when he made the Dean of Clerks in 2018. So may God continue to repay your kindness to me in thousand fold. Special thanks to Professor Ameze Kobadia, former Dean of Law and former DG of the Nigerian Institute of Advanced People Studies, who assisted me to secure appointments as assistant lecturer in 1995. Thank you, ma'am, for recognizing my potentials and setting me off in my academic career. I'm grateful to my PhD supervisors, Professor Lawrence Asekwa. Thank you, sir. And Professor P.E. Ibinovia Ezisa. For their kindness, their friendship and mentorship. God wills you go to remove an academic roadblock from my path, and you accomplish the task with so much humility and empathy. I thank Professor E.T. Onekorai, who was Vice Chancellor, Superintendent over my appointment as Assistant Lecturer in the University. I thank Professor T.D. Obiame, who was the Acting Dean of Law, gave me my first university-wide appointment as faculty rep in the University Admission Board, and gave me countless tutelage on how to comport myself as a law lecturer. I thank Professor Solomon Kwebe, a deep thinker with an elephantine intellect, for his friendship and mentorship. I recommended Professor Saito Shulu, the new study as Vice Chancellor, obtained my doctorate degree and was elevated to the position of associate professor. But before I continue, because of shortage of time, I must plead that I cannot acknowledge everyone who has played a role in my history so far. I recognize my colleagues at the Faculty of Law for their friendship and support through the years. I cannot fail to mention Professor Emeka Piano, Professor Richard Tubo, Professor Biaki Omori, Nadine, and Professor Loba Amoride, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Professor Brian Bazwaye, Professor Koya, Professor Nathaniel Negbedio, Professor Efo Salolo, Professor Fia Kokaiwo, Professor Alex Mele, who has always looked as slim as she was when she was our teacher more than 30 years ago, and my other colleagues in the law faculties. I thank you all and acknowledge you all, both academic and non-academic staff. I thank you so much. I'm grateful to the following professors who have been my role models and senior friends in the university. Emeritus Professor Raymond Olilayo, thank you, sir. Professor Fia Ilawe, Professor E. Obiasu, Professor Aowe, Professor N. Webafuna, Professor Joe Ehirobo, Professor A. Okamafe, who I served under when he was University Chairman, Professor F. Okema, Professor B.U.I.A., Professor A.B. Obegu, His Royal Highness Professor S.U. Adowa Obegman, and other professors who are too numerous to mention. I thank you. Professor T.O.K. Aoudi, Emeritus Professor. He was the Dean of Military School when I did my doctorate degree. Incidentally, that was in 2010. He was very accessible, always helpful, and he handled every issue concerning the program timelessly and efficiently. Thank you very much, sir. I thank everyone from my community, from my village. I come from two villages. One is in Okoko, one is Edmund, in Mule. I thank you all. I remain eternally grateful to my father, Jacob AIGBOVO, blessed memory, and my mother, Juliana AIGBOVO, for the self-deprivation endured in order to give me and my siblings sound education and for their love for me. I recommend I thank my siblings, Mrs. Monty and Basaki, Barrister AIGBOVO, and my other siblings and their spouses for being good ambassadors to my father's legacy. I also thank Mr. Aaron AIGBOVO, the Okaike of my family, and the entire members of the AIGBOVO family of Okoko, in the local government area of Edo State, and Ego, in the local government area of Edo State, and the Yabo family of Ebugai, the family of my mother, from the local government also. My cousins, the Amoris, I thank you all for your support. Finally, I thank my beautiful wife. For our love for me and dedication well-being. There are two women that can trust my life to this earth today, and they are sitting here. My mother and my wife. Finding her, I found a good thing, and she has been a blessing to me and my family. At times my children, she's a lawyer, she's my learned colleague. She said in Africa. They are doing the profession. Because I'm always a medical student. And Adesua says she wants to be an engineer. And Messiah, you have not made up her mind. For the joy they have brought to my life, I love you all. Recommendations and conclusions. And advices, arising from this inaugural lecture, my recommendations for addressing the challenges caused by labor horizon and the Nigerian legal system are as follows. Uniformity in conflict rules. I've earlier made their regulations. The conflict rules in all jurisdictions should be uniform. Then two, the use of legislation to outlaw harmful traditional practices and harmonize succession rules. Now, many jurisdictions have taken this path. They have been abolishing harmful traditional practices. But the question is, which are harmful? The United Nations, the CEDAW conference defines polygamy as a harmful traditional practice. Is it harmful? No. In Africa, it is not harmful. So there's a dispute as to what are harmful traditional practices. But there are some that are really harmful, like female genital mutilation and harmful women practices. There's single marriage act. Because marriage under customary law suffers a disadvantage. There should be one marriage act. There should be no need for double-decker marriage. When you marry, you marry. They give you a certificate. Full stop. No need to do one on Friday or Thursday and do the other one on Saturday. Then the amendment of the Land Use Act. The Land Use Act should recognize specifically customary law instead of this by implication through judicial decisions. And then, of course, the implications of customary law. Conclusion. Madam Vice Chancellor, over the years, the research in the area of the Nigerian legal system has been that law is like a living organism, which is capable of growing, metabolizing nutrients, reproducing and dying. The state of health of the law or the legal system has a major impact on the development of the society. When there is substantial societal consensus on the law, it is easier to obey and is therefore metaphorically healthy. However, the reverse is the case when the law is unclear or fails to accord with people's beliefs and expectations. This is a major reason for most of our problems in Nigeria. We are more committed to and are therefore more inclined to obey the dictates of our tribal and ethnic native law and custom and morality than those of receiving English law or local legislation derived from Western precepts. The state of affairs has led to uncertainty, unnecessary disputes, tribalism, corruption, weak institutions, and the presence of dead letter laws which are routinely disregarded by the people, or are seldom enforced by the institutions of the civic public. Thus, oaths taken in the court and oaths of office taken by public officers, anti-corruption laws, bigamy laws, and the law upon spray of the Nigerian currency, for example, are not accorded much respect. So sometimes it precepts, laws and morality of the laws of the civil code to modify or outrightly abolish some of the traditional practices and rules of their customary law, which they no longer find acceptable. In the first instance above, legal pluralism has resulted in disharmony in the legal system, as there is a disconnect between what people expect from the law and the actual provisions of the law. In the second instance, legal pluralism has resulted in a convergence or near convergence of the morality of the private realm and primordial public, with that of the civic public, resulting in social change. It is therefore important for our legislators and policy makers. I'm happy the majority leader of the House of Assembly is here today. He was a student, my student in the faculty. You are welcome. I hope you are listening, sir. It is therefore important that legislators especially understand the purpose or the operation of legal pluralism and the impact on the Nigerian legal system, as they will have the capacity to make laws that are more effective and efficient. Effectiveness in that the law will serve its purpose better, and efficiency in that greater feeling of ownership, less effort will be required to obey or enforce the law. This has been a preoccupation of my contributions to knowledge in the course of my academic career and the subject of this lecture. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. May I respectfully invite the Vice Chancellor, ably represented by the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academics, Professor Lou Osoroa, to give a recap of the lecture.
Please sit down. Ladies and gentlemen, I put it to you that Professor AIGBOVO has delivered a very stimulating and interesting lecture. Do you agree? If you do not agree, where do you go to? But when you go to court, you will soon find that you have put the standard. And why do we not have the standard? Because inaugural lectures spend your memories. So, if you want to gather, let me prepare you. Go to ABA versus ABC and others, 2003. Please let me attempt to recapitulate the lecture. Attempt the word. Because when the lawyer speaks, what I do want to add. I actually wanted to be a lawyer, but for fear of Professor Bazaye and Professor Mori, I threw in the towel. The only person who encouraged me was Professor Dubo. So today, ladies and gentlemen, Stanley has spent the test, and legal pluralism and the quest for harmony in the Nigerian legal system have been discussed. And I suppose that our appetite has been well met. The lecturer has told us that legal pluralism is a situation where a person is subject to more than one body of both state and non-state laws in the same geographical area. He said the concept arose from the imposition of the legal system of the European colonial masters on those of colonized indigenous people. It has resulted in dualism in the attitude of the people, and in some cases, institutions of the modern state, to those laws of the Nigerian legal system which are derived from the imposed legal system. The result is conflict between the people's expectation for the laws and the absence of true fidelity to the spirit and letters of those laws. So, some people either do not observe some of the laws, or they do so grudgingly or perfunctorily. He has told us that exposure to Western education, Western culture, and Christianity has changed the attitude of people to some of those customary laws that no longer meet their expectations, and which they go further to modify or abolish using the instrumentality of the laws and decisions of the imposed legal system. He has shown us his contributions towards clarifying the conflict rules that are designed to bring harmony to the system. The recommendations are worthwhile, well noted, and I suppose at this point, ladies and gentlemen, we should give a concluding but befitting thunderous round of applause to the distinguished Professor of Public Law, Professor OSARETIN AIGBOVO. Thank you.
The Vice Chancellor will now decorate our inaugural lecturer, and we invite his immediate family to come up stage to support him as he gets decorated. Please come up stage, wife, children. His mother, Mama, please come up stage. While that is going on, Madam Vice Chancellor, with your kind permission, let me recognize some dignitaries present this evening. Please put your hands together for Mrs. Juliana AIGBOVO, mother, Mrs. Charles AIGBOVO, wife, Mr. Admiral AIGBOVO, daughter, Adesua AIGBOVO, daughter, Osayayi AIGBOVO, daughter, AIGBOVO, brother, retired Supreme Court Justice, Honorable Justice S.O. Wifo, welcome, sir. Former Vice Chancellor of this great university, Professor Faraday F.O. Omaise, welcome, sir. Please put your hands together for him. Professor Emeritus, Professor T.O.K. Audu, we welcome you, sir. Professor Raymond Elijah, we welcome you, sir. Former Provost, Professor Bishop Vincent Yahweh, we welcome, sir. Chairman, Nigerian Bar Association, Benin, Musa Edo Sagi Esquire, we welcome you, sir. Please put your hands together. Please put your hands together. Members of Otomoki, led by the chairman, H.O. Satuame Esquire, we welcome you, sir. Professor Lawrence Ategwa, we welcome you, sir. Professor Richard Itubo, we welcome you, sir. Professor Nathaniel Ineke Jones, SAN, we welcome you, sir. Sir Henry Ogoju, SAN, we welcome you, sir. Professor, please put your hands together. Professor Edoba Omori, SAN, you're welcome, sir. Professor Musa Egafina, we welcome you. We welcome you, sir. Professor Kessington Obayagon. Professor Price Baswai, you're welcome, sir. Please put your hands together. Feel free to put your hands together. Professor Iyo S. Iyamu, you're welcome, sir. Professor Kokuranjwe Egafina, we welcome you, sir. Professor and Mrs. Cyril Mokoyen, you're most welcome. Please put your hands together for the majority leader and Edo State House of Assembly, Honorable Charles Godala Esquire, we welcome you, sir. Enoki of Obedi Osemeke, His Royal Highness Michael Obama, we welcome you, sir. Please put your hands together. Former member, House of Representatives, Home Captain G. Ado, you're most welcome, sir. Venerable Moses Honor Luki, JP, you're most welcome, sir. Venerable Ituoyi, you're welcome, sir. Please put your hands together. Professor Edosa Enauna, we welcome you, sir. Professor Matthew Adeti, you're most welcome. The Chairman, Edo South Zone Tax Appeal Tribunal, Professor A.O.A. Otiase, you're welcome, sir. Professor Patrick Dinovia, you're most welcome. Professor Joel Adulaga, you're welcome. Please put your hands together for him. Senator Ehiye Zambi, you're most welcome. Professor Amri Uwango, you're most welcome. Professor Sunday Ibimusa, you're welcome. Please put your hands together. Professor Mori Ebamuri, you're welcome. Professor Jennifer MBA, you're most welcome. Professor Victoria Ondoha, you're most welcome. Professor Chief Victor Uzamuri, you're most welcome, sir. Elder A.P. Yamu, we welcome you. Staff and lecturers of the Faculty of Law based in Arosa University, we welcome you. Please put your hands together. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, that's how we conclude the 291st in the inaugural lecture series of the Great University of Benin. Please put your hands together. Please rise for the Libyan anthem and the second stanza of the national anthem.